Tom lived in a small, humble farmhouse on the edge of a quiet village. The house was simple, but it was filled with warmth and love. Tom was a farmer, and he worked hard every day to grow crops and take care of the animals. His life was busy, but it made him proud. He loved his work and was always thankful for the small things in life. Yet, there was one thing that troubled him deeply. His wife, Lily, was sad. Tom noticed it every day. She would sit by the window, staring out at the fields, lost in her thoughts. Even though they had a comfortable life, Lily's eyes were always filled with sadness. Tom tried to understand. He tried talking to her, asking her why she seemed so unhappy. "Lily, what is it?" he asked one evening as they sat together by the fireplace. "Why do you look so sad all the time? We have everything we need. We're comfortable. We're happy, aren't we?" Lily didn't respond at first. She just stared at the flames dancing in the fire. After a moment, she turned to him, her eyes soft but full of sorrow. "It's not that, Tom," she said, her voice low. "It's that we don't have any children. I know you work hard, and I know you love me, but I feel so lonely. I want to have children, to care for them, and to raise them together with you. Without children, this house doesn't feel like a home." Tom felt a pang of guilt. He had known that Lily's sadness was about something important, but he hadn't realized how deeply it affected her. He wanted to give her everything she dreamed of. He wanted to make her happy, but he didn't know how. "Lily," he said softly, "I will find a way. I will find a way to make this better for us." Tom lay awake that night, thinking about Lily's words. He loved her with all his heart, and he knew that having children would bring her joy. But the thought of raising children scared him. It wasn't just about love. It was about responsibility. Could he provide for them? Could he take care of them the way they deserved? The next morning, Tom made a decision. He knew he needed advice, so he decided to go to Mr. Baker. Mr. Baker was the oldest man in the village and had lived through many years of hard work. He was wise, and Tom trusted his judgment. Tom arrived at Mr. Baker's house early in the morning. Mr. Baker was sitting outside, enjoying the warm sunshine. When he saw Tom, he waved him over. "Good morning, Tom," Mr. Baker said with a smile. "What brings you here so early?" Tom sat beside Mr. Baker and told him everything. He explained Lily's sadness and how he felt torn between wanting to make her happy and being unsure about what he should do. Mr. Baker listened carefully. He didn't interrupt. After a long pause, he spoke. "Tom," he said, "having children is a great responsibility. It's not just about love. It's about being there for them, providing for them, and ensuring they grow up happy and healthy. Before you make any decisions, you need to think carefully. Do you have the resources to care for them? Are you ready to share your life with them fully and completely? Tom felt even more uncertain. He had never thought about it in such a serious way. Was he really ready for this? "I want to make Lily happy," Tom said quietly, "but I'm not sure I'm ready." Mr. Baker placed a hand on Tom's shoulder. "Take your time, Tom. Think about it. But remember, whatever you decide, it's important that you are ready for the challenge." Tom thanked Mr. Baker and left his house, feeling even more confused. He loved Lily so much, but the thought of taking on such a big responsibility made him anxious. The following day, Tom returned to his farm, still deep in thought. He couldn't stop thinking about Mr. Baker's words. How could he possibly take care of a family, especially children? Was he ready for such a big change? As he walked into his home, he was greeted by Lily, who was sitting by the window again, staring out at the fields. "I'm home, Lily," Tom said with a smile, though he still felt uneasy. But as soon as he entered, something strange happened. A man stood in the doorway. He was tall, well-dressed, and looked like he had come from a faraway place. He had a serious expression on his face. "Hello, Tom," the man said. "My name is Mr. Miller. I've heard a lot about you and your farm. I have a proposal that I think could help you." Tom was surprised. He didn't know anyone named Mr. Miller, but the man seemed familiar with him. "A proposal? What kind of proposal?" Mr. Miller smiled. "I run a factory nearby, and I'm looking for someone to help with a special project. If you agree to work with me, I can provide you with enough money to adopt children. You'll be able to raise them well, and you won't have to worry about resources. I'll make sure you have everything you need." Tom was taken aback. He hadn't expected such an offer. The idea of having children, of making Lily happy, suddenly seemed more real. "How many children are we talking about?" Tom asked, his heart racing. Mr. Miller's smile widened. "I can arrange for several children to come to your home. You'll have all the help you need, and in return, you'll work for me. It's a fair deal." Tom felt torn. He was hesitant, but at the same time, this could be the answer to his problems. This could be the way to make Lily happy, to finally give her the children she had always wanted. "I'll think about it," Tom said, his voice unsure. Mr. Miller nodded. "Take your time, but remember, I'm offering you a great opportunity. Don't let it slip away." As Mr. Miller left, Tom turned to Lily. She was still sitting by the window, her eyes distant. "Lily," Tom said softly, I have an idea. We might be able to have children after all. Lily turned to him, her eyes filled with hope. What do you mean, Tom? Tom explained everything about Mr. Miller's offer. Lily's face lit up with excitement. This could be the answer they had both been waiting for. But Tom still had doubts. Could he really go through with it? Would he be able to handle the responsibilities of raising so many children? The next few days passed in a blur. Tom couldn't stop thinking about Mr. Miller's offer. Every time he saw Lily, her hopeful eyes made him feel both excited and nervous. The thought of having children in the house filled him with a sense of responsibility that he wasn't sure he could bear. But when the day finally came, Tom made his decision. He would accept Mr. Miller's offer. The idea of seeing Lily happy, of giving her the children she wanted, seemed worth the risk. He couldn't wait any longer. One bright morning, just after breakfast, a large cart pulled up to the farm. Tom stood at the door, watching as a group of people climbed out of the cart. They were carrying large boxes, and behind them, a line of children appeared, looking around in excitement. Tom's heart raced. There were so many children. They looked excited, but also a bit nervous, as if they weren't sure what to expect. There were children of all ages. Some were toddlers, some were young children, and a few were teenagers. The youngest ones held hands, while the older ones looked around curiously. The children stepped off the cart one by one, looking at Tom and Lily with wide eyes. Some smiled shyly, others seemed a bit unsure, but all of them were eager to meet their new parents. Tom felt a wave of emotion wash over him. This was real. His life was about to change. Lily, who had been watching from the window, came outside to greet the children. She smiled at them, her eyes shining with happiness. For the first time in a long while, her sadness seemed to fade. She knelt down to greet the youngest children, her voice gentle and kind. "Hello, my little ones," Lily said warmly. "I'm so happy to meet you." The children smiled and ran to her, their faces filled with excitement. It was clear that they were happy to be there, even if they didn't fully understand what had brought them to this farm. Tom stepped forward, his heart full of love and worry. He had no idea how he would care for so many children, but he knew he had to try. He smiled at the children and welcomed them into his home. "Welcome to our farm," Tom said. "I'm Tom, and this is my wife, Lily. We're so glad to have you here with us." The children began to settle into their new home, excited to explore their new surroundings. There was a sense of energy in the air. The house, once quiet and peaceful, was now full of life and noise. The children ran around the yard, laughing and playing with with each other. At first, everything seemed perfect. Tom and Lily were overjoyed by the sounds of laughter and the sight of children running around. The house felt full of love and hope. But as the days went by, the challenges began to appear. The first few weeks of having the children were both joyful and overwhelming. Tom and Lily quickly realized that taking care of so many children wasn't as easy as they had thought. There were so many things to do. Every meal had to be cooked in large amounts, and the house needed constant cleaning. The children needed attention, love, and care, and each one had their own needs and personalities. Some of the children were quiet and shy. They needed extra help adjusting to their new life. Others were more outgoing and energetic, always running around and asking for things. They needed constant supervision. There were always clothes to wash, meals to prepare, and problems to solve. One evening, after a long day of work, Tom sat down at the kitchen table, exhausted. Lily was sitting beside him, looking just as tired. The children were finally in bed, but the silence in the house felt heavy. "I don't know if we can do this, Tom," Lily said, her voice filled with worry. "There are so many of them. I feel like we can never catch up. I want to take care of them, but I don't know how." Tom reached out and took her hand. "I know, Lily. I feel the same way. I love them all, but I'm afraid we're not enough. We can't give them everything they need on our own." They both sat in silence, their thoughts heavy with doubt. The dream of having children, of making Lily happy, had come true. But the reality of it was much harder than either of them had imagined. Now, from this point, the story will be continued in the next part.